Hey guys, it's Moria here with Ellie from Aloha Fit. Hi! And today's workout is going to take you back to the basics. So this is a really great video segment about working out if you are either just getting back into working out or you haven't done it before. We're going to go over some really great body weight moves that you can do at home using a chair. So you want a really nice sturdy chair. You really don't want to use like a folding chair. You really want to use something that is not going to move. And then also, just to prove that you can do this with no equipment, I made myself a weight here. I used a bag that Carlene from MantraFit graciously gave me. And it has in it some rice and some canned goods, you know, the things that they told us to buy, you know, for the coronavirus outbreak. So if you have it, you should have them in your house by now. So you can create a weight yourself just by using a bag. A lot of people have told me they've also been just using water jugs or things around the house that they have. You got to make what you have work for you. And then I also have a mat as well on the floor, and you don't need anything fancy for that either. Just something to protect your knees, keep yourself safe. It's not going to slide around. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So the first item on our list that we have here is just a squat. So I'm going to put my assistant here on the floor right now. Okay, so when you do squats, you really want to think about sending your weight back on your heels. So a lot of times when folks, before they start exercising, their primary form of movement is walking around. So when that happens, as any kind of movement that is forward facing becomes your primary movement, your quadriceps get stronger than your glutes and your hamstrings. So it's really hard to actually squat properly. So that's why I always recommend starting with a chair or something that you can sit back onto, because it gives you something to aim for. So I'm going to be standing maybe about like 6 inches, 8 inches in front of my chair, and I'm going to keep my chest lifted. I'm going to send my weight back so that I actually almost sit in my chair. My knees are aligning over my toes, so I don't want to make sure that they're not coming in or going out. They're aligning over like my second and third toe, keeping my chest lifted, and I'm coming back up. So that's our first item on our list, is to do some squats. So I recommend doing 10 of each item, and then maybe going down the list, and then if you're feeling still a little ambitious, you go a second or a third time, but just to keep it simple, you know, do what you can. I would start with just that first item. So squats are the single best form of exercise in my opinion. The human body was designed to do squats. We just stopped doing them as often because we invented toilets. So get your squat on as your item number 1. Item number 2 is to work on your lunges. So lunges, I'm going to demonstrate like more full lunge. You don't have to go as far into your lunge as I am. It's really about doing what fits your body best and about keeping your knees safe. So we're going to start with a reverse lunge because they're a little easier to judge the distance that you want to go. So we're going to step back with one foot. My back heel's lifted and spiked. My front knee and my back knee and my toes and my hips are all aligned forward. So it's really nice to have that chair parallel, so it kind of helps you line your body up straight. So a lot of times I see people kind of turn that back knee this way or this way. You really want to keep everything forward. Now, everything is all about that front leg. So I'm lowering and lifting using that front heel, and I'm focusing on this glute. So chest is lifted, I'm lowering, bringing it back together, and switching, right? So go slow, think about how you're doing it. And if you're doing 10, I'd say 1 on each side equals 1, but if you're first starting, maybe 5 on each side is fine for today, and that's okay. Yeah. So here we go. So I'll do 1 more on each side. Good. Okay. Next, we're going to practice high knees, and I'm going to use a chair here for balance. So this is more of a mobility thing. I'm going to keep my chest lifted. I'm going to stand nice and tall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my knee up to my chest, but I'm not going to crunch over. Okay? So you might not be able to bring it up as high as I am right now, and that's okay. You go, if it's right here, that's fine for today. Okay? So remember, tight through the core. I'm trying to work on my balance here. You could do it with no chair at all too, and then we'll switch legs. But really challenge yourself. Nice job. All right, cool. Then after that, we're gonna go over plank holds. So when I have people start plank holds, I usually like them to take off a little body weight, because sometimes holding up your entire body weight is just too much to start with. So another great option is you can use a chair. So when you're using a chair, again, nice sturdy chair, right? I'm making sure that my shoulders are aligned over my wrists and my body is nice and straight. I know it's kind of hard to see in this cramped little space, but I'm also tucking my tailbone down and I'm really engaging through the core. I'm kind of thinking about this wrapping technique. So I'm really pulling all of my abdominals towards each other inside. So I'm not just letting it all hang out, which is really easy to do. If going on the chair is too easy, you can also progress down to the ground. So I get this question a lot, is if doing a plank from your hands or from your forearms is harder or easier. And the answer is it's not either way. It's just if you're doing it from your hands, it can be a little harder on the wrist, but you get help from your shoulders. Whereas if you do it from a forearm, you're gonna be, if you have taken care of sensitive wrists, that's a better option. It'll make you recruit more abdominal strength. Hey. So, doing a plank hold, right? And you can start with maybe a 10-second hold, a 15-second hold, and then kind of work your way up to 30 seconds. For more advanced people, you can obviously go much longer, okay? So after that, we have our single arm row, and that's where our DIY little handy dandy bag comes here. So I'm gonna stand with 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, my bad. And I'm gonna make sure that my shoulder is over my wrist and my body is nice and straight. So I'm gonna show you from the side. So see how my body is nice and straight, so I'm not sagging here. I'm also not doing anything weird with my spine. Trust me, I've seen it all. My knee is over my ankle, my belly button is nice and tight in towards my spine, and I'm taking my elbow straight back. So I'm not flaring out to the side, just going straight back. All right, so we can do on one side, and then we switch, and we do the same thing on the other. So when you're doing this, a couple things that you want to note is that you're not leaning really heavy on that front knee, especially if you're taking care of your knee. You really want to keep most of that work in your core so that we're isolating, so we're just using that arm. And the other thing you want to, that I always see, is you want to make sure that the foot is back on the side you're working on, otherwise you're going to end up hitting your leg. Don't know why that one's a weird one, but it just is. Okay, then after that we got deadlifts, okay? So deadlifts are a little tricky, but if anybody has ever told you to lift with your legs and not with your back, that's basically what a deadlift is. So I'm gonna make sure that my object is close to me. I'm not gonna have it really far away so I have to reach far away for it. I'm gonna make sure it's really close to me, past, like inside of my toes. And then I'm gonna have my knees align over my second and third toe. I'm gonna keep my back nice and straight in neutral position. And I'm gonna try to keep my neck in neutral position as well. So that way I'm kind of wrapping everything in here. I'm pressing into my heels and I'm lowering and lifting, okay? So some things to watch out for is this right here, not so good for your back. So if you're not sure if you're doing that or not, get a friend, set up a camera like I have to make sure that you're keeping your back nice and straight, okay? Cool, so that's your deadlift. Next we got standing Russian twist. So for those of you who getting up and down off the ground is kind of tricky, standing Russian twists are a great option. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand up nice and tall. I'm gonna bring my elbow and my knee together, crunching through the core. Now, if this is too much, remember, this is okay, this is okay. You know, anything that kind of gets that cross-body movement that is safe for you is fine, okay? After that, I got some stuff on the ground. So we got bridges. So when you do bridges, there's a couple things that you to keep in mind. The bridges are one of the great exercises that kind of work a lot of different things that kind of get not enough love. So bridges work the glutes, the hamstrings, and the core, and they kind of open up through the hip flexors here. So I'm going to lay all the way down on my back. I'm going to make sure my knees align over my second and third toe. So sometimes when people do bridges, they kind of flare the knees out as they come up. Now if you're doing them purposefully like that, that's a different story. But if we're just working on a regular single two-legged bridge, we want to make sure our heels in close towards our hip bones, our knees stay tracking over our second and third toe the whole time. I'm laying on my back and I'm going to lower and lift, like so. All right, so we'll do 10 of those bad boys. Then after that we got fire hydrants and donkey kicks. So these are two really great really great glute exercises. And I require them a lot of my runners because, again, they work the body in different directions and help isolate muscles that just don't get as much love. So you're on hands and knees for both of these. Now, really important, when you're on hands and knees, make sure your wrists are actually under your shoulders and make sure your knees are actually underneath your hips. Very, very often I see this. Your hips aren't that close together, guys. So make sure you give yourself plenty of space, okay? The other thing you want to make sure is that your back is in neutral. So sometimes I'll see people scrunch up or they do this cat-cow thing. So just make sure everything's lined up nice and good. And then again, I'm thinking about my core here, I'm thinking about my plank. I'm wrapping everything in, pulling everything in towards my belly button. All right, my neck is in nice and neutral position. And what I'm gonna do is for my fire hydrants, I'm gonna bring my knee away from my body. And I'm keeping my back nice and straight. I'm keeping everything stacked nice and neat, okay? So watch out for this maneuver here. So if you're doing this, it's not doing a whole lot for you. In fact, it's almost better to do this. Don't worry about the height. All right, so I'm gonna do some on the other side so I feel even. I can't really see that one too good. And then last but not least, we got our donkey kicks. So this is another one that I see that's a little wonky when people do it incorrectly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my ankles and my knees locked at 90, and I'm just gonna bring my legs straight up back behind me. So I'm flexing through my glute and my hamstring. Core stays nice and tight, so that's not moving at all. I see this very often. And that doesn't really do you any good, or this. That's a different move. So watch out for those things. Take your time. Make it count. It's always better to do a couple good reps than a lot of crappy ones. So those are your back to basics for today. For those of you just starting out on a fitness journey because you have more time on your hands since you're at home, this is a great way to start. And then for those of you who may have been up to workouts for quite some time, you can always make this stuff harder. You can add resistance bands, you can add external weights, you can add plyometrics by jumping around. There's always ways to make things harder, and there's always ways to make things easier too. So I know today's video has been a little bit longer, but thank you for tuning in. And Ellie says thank you. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten from everybody. Lots of emails, lots of donations to keep Aloha Fit going. Lots of words of encouragement and a lot of support for the online classes, which are great. They're interactive. We host them on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. right here in Ellie's room. That is Hawaii time, and then Saturdays at 9 a.m. Hawaii time as well. So if you'd like to join in for those, let me know. I'm happy to send you the Google Hangout link, and it's free, obviously. Yeah. If you have any questions about modifications or ideas for other exercises because maybe something doesn't suit you so well, please drop me a text, send me a message or an email. Thank you so much, guys. We gotta go do nap time pretty soon. Alrighty, have a great day, guys. Stay safe out there.